When this man realized a polar bear was chasing him through the freezing waters of Alaska, he panicked. But once he discovered the reason, it brought him to tears, and he knew he had to do something fast. It all started one cold morning. Roland Warrior, a longtime tour guide, was getting his trusted fishing boat ready for another day out in the icy waters. As he worked, something caught his eye. Against the rugged, snow-covered mountains, he saw a quick flash of bright white that didn't belong. Roland froze, watching the strange sight. To his surprise, a huge polar bear was swimming right behind his boat, gliding through the freezing water like it was nothing. Encounters like this weren't unheard of in these parts, but seeing one following so closely made Roland's heart race and his mind spin. He knew how dangerous these animals could be. Roland had heard too many stories about polar bear encounters ending badly for people. And with how well these bears could swim, he saw that this one was slowly gaining ground. Feeling a growing sense of worry, Roland pushed the throttle to pick up speed, hoping the bear would lose interest. But it didn't. The bear kept powering through the water with huge, steady strokes. Waves rippled behind it as it kept up the chase. Roland watched, a mix of admiration and fear building inside him. He was impressed by the animal's strength, but something about the way it kept coming made him uneasy. As it kept getting closer, Roland felt a wave of anxiety wash over him. A bear that size could cause serious trouble if it caught up to the boat. He cranked the engine to full speed, but no matter what he did, the bear didn't give up. Now his fear started turning into something heavier. Polar bears don't chase things just for fun. This wasn't normal behavior. Roland's gut told him something was wrong, deeply wrong. He took a closer look. That's when it hit him like a punch to the chest. The bear wasn't just chasing him, it was in pain. Its strokes were uneven, as if something was dragging it down. And the look on its face wasn't aggression, it was panic. It was clear now, this bear wasn't hunting, it was desperate. Roland's chest tightened with emotion as he took in the heartbreaking scene. His eyes began to blur with tears. It was clear now that this incredible polar bear, so strong and full of power, had become tangled in a cruel fishing net. Even with all its might, the bear looked worn down and exhausted, its movements growing more frantic by the second. The thick net was wrapped tightly around its legs, digging into the skin and leaving deep, raw wounds. Each of its pained roars echoed through the cold Alaskan air, full of fear and desperation. Sadly, these waters were no stranger to careless fishermen who dumped old nets once they broke. It looked like this bear had swum right into one of them. Now the net dragged beneath it, likely snagged on rocks far below, making it harder and harder for the bear to stay afloat. Roland couldn't stand it. His throat tightened, and his heart felt heavy as he watched the bear struggle, its eyes full of panic. The net wasn't just wrapped around the bear, it was pulling it down, slowly but surely. He cut the engine and let the boat drift, keeping a safe distance at first. He didn't want to make things worse. But as the bear got closer, Roland knew what he had to do. He couldn't sit there and watch this animal die. Somehow, this creature had come to him. Maybe it knew he was the only chance it had. Roland had seen plenty of wild animals in his time, but none had ever approached him like this. And the way this massive predator looked at him, it wasn't angry. It was pleading. That moment hit Roland hard. A polar bear asking a human for help? That meant something was deeply wrong. He reached for his knife, the one he always kept nearby. It felt solid and familiar in his hand. His heart pounded, and his hands trembled a little from the mix of nerves and urgency. He waited until the bear was close enough. Carefully, Roland leaned over the side of the boat. Every muscle in his body was tense. He couldn't make any sudden moves. One wrong step, and things could go bad fast. But the bear didn't flinch. It just floated there, breathing heavily, waiting. Roland's hands moved slowly and steadily. He began cutting through the thick strands of the net, careful not to hurt the bear any more than it already was. Each slice helped loosen the pressure, little by little, until the tight knots around its limbs began to fall away. As he worked, he pulled the cut pieces of net into the boat. He didn't want to leave any of it behind where it could trap another animal. Roland kept at it, focused and determined, every move driven by one goal, giving this bear a second chance at life. The bear, as if it understood what was happening, stayed still in the water. It didn't growl, didn't lunge, it just floated there calmly, watching Roland's every move. It was so close it could have grabbed him and pulled him under without effort. But it didn't. Instead, its eyes quietly followed the careful motion of the man's hands as he worked with the knife. Roland had to reach both arms into the ice-cold water to get at the net caught under the bear's front legs. His heart was racing. The freezing water stung his skin, and 1,000 terrifying thoughts crossed his mind. What if he slipped? With all the heavy gear he had on, would he even make it back into the boat? And what would the bear do if that happened? But he couldn't let himself think about any of that. Not now. He had a job to finish, and he wasn't going to stop until that bear was free. After what felt like hours of intense, focused work, Roland finally got through the last tangled knot. The net was off. He sat back in the boat, soaking wet and shaking, a deep wave of emotion washing over him. He wiped his face, partly from the cold, partly from the tears he hadn't even realized were there. Then he looked up and saw the bear looking right back at him. There was something in its eyes, not fear, not aggression, just a quiet, peaceful kind of knowing. For a second, Roland felt like they truly understood each other. There were no words, but there didn't need to be. The connection was there. Freed at last, the polar bear slowly began to move. It swam forward, strong and smooth, no longer weighed down. Roland watched as it glided through the water, heading toward the distant shore, back to the snowy wilderness where it belonged. He stood there, hands resting on the edge of the boat, watching that beautiful animal grow smaller and smaller on the horizon. His heart was full, part aching, part joyful. He knew he'd just experienced something he would never forget. And as the bear disappeared into the white landscape, Roland felt something shift inside him. He understood more than ever how every living creature matters, and that even in the coldest, wildest places on earth, kindness can reach across the gap between species. He took a deep breath, ready to head back, forever changed by the encounter. Now it's your turn. What would you have done if you'd seen a polar bear chasing after your boat? Would you have been able to look past the fear and offer help? Let us know what you think in the comments. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more, and share it with someone who cares about animals just as much as you do. Thanks for watching.